Welcome to Ranger Stories. My name is Tennyson E. Stead. I am the creator of Jump Rangers, and this is the show where I read things that I'm writing in the Jump Rangers universe and probably edit and discuss them for your viewing pleasure. Today we're reading Jump Rangers, a game called Conquest, Chapter 29. If you'd like to catch up on previous episodes of Ranger Stories, you can find those episodes on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/at Jump Rangers. Let's begin. When the Sarge left me on the Hermes, he left me with high command. Instead of letting me speak with the leaders of an undersoar resistance, figuring I might say something embarrassing or disruptive to our plans, the Sarge left me alone with high command. Never mind, Uncle Slappy and the Jump Rangers we rescued from Pax's base. So what did I do? What else could I do? I crashed the Hermes, trying to land it on planet Mist while spore wasps ate away at the outside of the ship. I think this is going to need a little rework. Once we were down, Scrap led most of the Rangers to safety, while Dio and I stripped the Hermes for parts, taking apart a Hermes transport from the inside out. I think we can just delete that whole thing. Okay. The Sarge, we're just gonna cut it down right now with high command. Okay. So let me just we're gonna take our sweet time here real quick. I'm gonna copy that. I'm gonna go back because there's a sentence in here I want to save. Okay. He left me. Fearing I might say something embarrassing or disruptive to our plans, the Sarge left me with high command, Uncle Slappy, and some Rangers we rescued from Pax's base. The Sarge left me on a Hermes transport. I think that's basically what I was trying to do, is just set the stage. And I don't know, sometimes it takes me a minute to warm up when I'm writing. He left me, fearing I might say something embarrassing or disruptive to our plans. The Sarge left me on a Hermes transport with high command, Uncle Slappy, and some Jump Rangers we rescued from Pax's base. So what did I do? What else could I do? I crashed the Hermes on planet Mist, while spore wasps ate away at the outside of the ship. Once we were down, Scrap led most of the Rangers to safety, while Dio and I stripped the Hermes for parts. Taking apart a Hermes transport from the inside out while spore wasps were taking it apart from the outside in created some problems for us. Not the least of which was the fact that all the tech we were hauling made a stink by which the spore bugs could track us. When we finally left the crash site. Still, it had to be done. Why it had to be done is something we'll get to in time. Sprinting away from the wrecked Hermes with rucksacks full of spare parts on our backs, Dio and I made a break for the tree line the Hermes had smashed its way through. Dio wanted to run after Uncle Slappy and the rest of the Rangers, but I knew better. Neither Dio nor myself were going anywhere near the rest of High Command until we found ourselves in Kotha. Racing through the trees, taking cover as the spore wasps chased us, as the spore wasps here we go. As the spore wasps smashed their way through the forest after us, shattering any trees in their path, Dio and I caught sight of a mostly ruined Mistling town. While we were still in the air, I'd been scanning the area for any place where we might find some grubs. Now that we were dashing away from the freshest technology on planet Mist and smelling just like it, those spore bugs were where I was leading Dio. When Dio asked me if I knew where I was going, I thought of the Sarge. Trust me. We're just going to delete that. Trust me. So, for any place where we might find some spore bugs. Okay. This is a little bit messy, but we're going to get through it. Racing through the trees, taking cover as the spore wasps smashed their way through the forest after us, shattering any trees in their path. Theo and I caught sight of a mostly ruined Mistling town. While we were still in the air, I'd been scanning for any place where we might find some spore bugs. Now that we were dashing away from the freshest technology on planet Mist, and smelling just like it, that's exactly where I was leading Dio. Trust me. Racing through the broken mound of rubble, I spotted a spore bug munching through a mound of crumbled homestead. We're just going to delete that. Diving into the muck left behind by the oversized segmented weevil, Dio and I let the spore wasps roar past us like a hurricane, searching the area for our scent. The wasps eventually gave up and buzzed off into the skies. Buzzed off into the sky. Is it skies or skies? It's one sky. How? But why does anyone ever say skies? How many skies does one planet need? I'm going to have that argument in character. Buzzed off into the skies. Why does anybody ever say skies? Flew off into the skies. How many planets? How many skies does one planet need? Is there somebody? I heard a blip, but for some reason, I'm not seeing docs. Here we go. Chat. Did we get a chat? We did not get a chat. That's all right. Somebody was blipping me. In the slimy wake of the lumbering beast, Dio and I of the lumbering spore bug. Dio and I rolled around until we were covered in Katha. Pulling slimy dirt from the ground, I stuffed the bag holding my spare parts with stinky slime. Taking my lead, Dio did the same. With the stuff. Pulling slimy dirt from the ground, I packed the bag holding my spare parts with the stuff as well. With Katha as well. Taking my lead, Dio did the same. All Kathed up, Dio and I set off across the surface of planet Mist to find our friends. For the next few days, I helped Scrap train Uncle Slappy and the Rangers of High Command how to survive on planet Mist. Teaching them how to stay hidden was easy enough, but Scrap and I were the only members of our party small enough to ride a spore locust. Nobody else had a wrench rig. That's okay. I didn't need them to. What I did need was a place to work. With Scrap's help, we found ourselves an abandoned Saurian mine. Spore crawlers were chewing their way through the refineries and workspaces built into the endless network of caves, but we didn't need the space for long. Finding an undersoil workshop far from the feeding frenzy, let's say that, I showed Dio and a pair of tech rangers we rescued from Pax's base how I'd built my wrench rig. Taking the wrench rig apart, we figured out how to make more. Spreading out the parts we stole from the Hermes, I walked the rangers through my plan. What I needed was a handful of wrench rigs that I could hammer into the surface of, well, anything really. Hammer them in according to a geodesic pattern and hook them up to an octanator and shrink that thing down. What I'm saying is that I didn't need to take a whole ranger team into the Queen's hive. Moving spores out of the hive isn't practical. They're big, they're heavy. What I really needed, was to put a whole bunch of spores in my pocket. Besides, who knows what would happen if I dragged a dozen kids and a grown up into the queen's spawning chamber? Would she be as patient with us as she'd been up till now? Probably not. Probably it's better if we never find out. What I did know is that I've used the wrench rig around the queen before and it didn't seem to bother her. In hindsight, doing that without asking first was a risk. Maybe she's sensitive to subatomic fluctuations. Maybe she's just easily surprised. She didn't. She didn't eat me for getting big or getting small, and that was lucky. She didn't eat me for getting big or getting small, and that was lucky. I got lucky. Now I know. If I take a bunch of wrench rigs into the hive with me, there's a very good chance the queen won't eat me for rigging up her spores and shrinking them down so I can carry them out into my pocket. With a pocket full of space spores, I'll have what I need to start a hive. With the other tech rangers, I got to work building a whole mess of wrench rigging. High Command and the other rangers kept watch just in case a spore made a move on our workspace. Mostly a spore bug. The spore made a. Yep, that's right. Mostly Uncle Slappy napped. Leaving the under rangers behind, Scrap and I wrangled some locusts and made for the hive. Carrying more tech meant I needed more Katha. My rucksack was dripping with the stuff, and I was more than a little worried the smell might offend the queen. Scrap seemed to think that things would turn out all right, and I decided to take them at their word. Over the seemingly endless murky forest, over the countless hives, the locusts carried us towards the hive. More than once we stopped to make camp. More than once we had to hide ourselves while spore wasps scoured the area for traces of our scent. My pack had about a dozen extra octonators in it, given to me by the other rangers. My pack also had a bunch of shielding packed into it. We'd wired it up to try and ground the output from all that tech. But Scrap and I needed to be extra careful. 3 days later, we found the hive. Riding one of the behemoth spore bugs down into the spawning pool, Scrap and I descended into the spawning pit. Face to face with the queen, I asked if she could please spare us some spores. In that moment, what's that? The spawning pit. Face to face with the queen, I asked if she could please spare us some spores. Epiluni says it read that so that it's my wife off screen asking questions is what's going on here. So over the seemingly endless murky forest, over the countless hives, the locusts carried us towards the hive. That's too many hives. Queen. Carried us towards the queen. More than once we stopped to make camp. More than once we had to hide ourselves, while the spore wasps scoured the area for traces of our scent. My pack had about a dozen extra octonators in it, given to me by the other rangers. My pack also had a bunch of shielding packed into it. My pack also had a bunch of shielding. My rucksack also had a bunch of shielding packed into it. We'd wired it up to try and ground the output from all that tech, but Scrap and I needed to be extra careful. 3 days later, we found the hive. Riding one of the behemoth spore bugs down into the spawning pool, Scrap and I descended into the pit. Okay, into the IC, spawning pool, spawning pit. Down into the queen's lair. Slimy lair. Descended into the queen's slimy lair. Face to face with the queen, into the slimy depths. There we go. Scrap and I descended into the slimy depths. Face to face with the queen, I asked if she could please spare us some more spores. In that moment, standing there in the spawning chamber, I relived the experience of falling through the air over my homeworld, screaming through the air. The wing of Pegasus space fighters fires on the descending spore. Erupting in flame, the spore disintegrates before my very eyes. Standing there in the queen's spawning chamber, I can feel the pain that she feels. I feel the pain that she feels as she witnesses the destruction of her spores. Standing there, feeling her loss, knowing that her spores will be safe on Mist and that they can thrive here, I have to ask her to send them with me instead. Soon she will be dead. If she does nothing, she will explode and shower her spores across this world. If I want to save Earth, I have to tell this queen that the sacrifice and the pain of losing her spores is worth it. Is it? Is a sacrifice ever worth it? Is there no better way? How do you ask a being to give up a piece of themselves for some place they've never been, for something they'll never even see? Maybe we don't have to give anything up. Maybe this time I've got it right. Maybe I don't, but that's always true, isn't it? Every time I jump, there's a chance I get it wrong. So why do I do it? All that flashes through my mind is the question of what would happen if I didn't. I'm a jump ranger because I'd rather live in the galaxy where I did these things. I'd rather live in the galaxy where people got the help I had to give. If you can help us, that gives us a fighting chance. That gives us hope. Hope isn't something that human beings like to waste. Trust me. That's the end of chapter 29. We're coming down to it. We're coming down to it. We've only got 33 chapters and an epilogue, so we're going to be getting through this in the next 6 weeks. Very exciting stuff. Um, if anybody hasn't seen it yet, we have a new stream on on Twitch on Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. It's called The Rookies. It's a it's a new campaign. It's not anything that's in the material. I'll be writing it up, of course, as a supplement, and I am. Um, but it's a bunch of people who haven't played the game before, and this particular adventure is one chosen by themselves, where they're off to investigate the origins of the loom. And so far, it's been a barn burner. We're having a lot of fun. So come on by and check it out. We're gonna have our first big combat session next Monday. So get caught up on YouTube at youtube.com/@JumpRangers. And we will be playing metagame on Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Pacific on Twitch. And I think that's pretty much all the news there is to share. I am working on some things. I think there's a pretty good chance I'm going to be able to get the dice that I've been trying to get my hands on this month. So I'll probably have them sometime in April or May, and I'll be able to start giving dice away with new subs. Um, so that's exciting. And if anybody subs now, I'll make sure that I include those dice in that sub. In that, I'll backlog it. So don't be shy. Come check out the Patreon at patreon.com/jumprangers. And I think that's it. I will be back. We'll be back on Saturday with the game. I'll be streaming tomorrow morning at twitch.tv/Techer10. So come play some Star Citizen with me. And don't be a stranger, Ranger.